Hello there everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another weekly update about news and information on DCS World. I'm your host, of course, Prickly Hedgehog. Join me now as we look at this week's minor changelog and of course the biggie, the A-10C II, which is now out in open beta, and for owners of the existing module, a mere $10 to pick up right now and all the way through to October 31st. So gather the A-10C while you may. Let's look at this week's changelog, which is not too extensive, a fairly small one, because obviously last week's patch was where all the major bugs and things were squashed. From a very extensive changelog, let me rephrase that a little bit. The patch was ginormous and exhaustive last week. This week, therefore, not quite so many things. A couple of things for the China asset pack here. A couple of things for the JF-17, also by Decker Ironworks Simulations. So they've had they've done some work on the HUD here and some import entry names. They have done let's look at instant action missions, on the Syria map for the F5e Tiger II. So if you are a fan of that aircraft now, you've got some dedicated missions for it, which is good news. The F-18C Hornet, of course, received the fixes that were unavailable to be corrected last week. And I want to take a little moment here to apologize to Katja Peredurko because I did butcher her name last week, which was completely unintentional. Somebody did point that out to me, and of course I went back over and I was like, oh yeah, I did make a mistake there. So I apologize to Katja for that. That was unintentional. And inexcusable. So anyway, changes there to the F-18. Like I said, there was an issue identified with the AIM-9 class of weapons there. The 9LM tone loss, that's been fixed, and the 9X jitter, that's been fixed. The night vision goggles were appearing without color, that's been fixed, and there was no data link, fighter-to-fighter data link in multiplayer for clients, that's also been fixed. Little update to the TDC for the mouse axes and Flaming Cliffs, that's been corrected. Several campaigns have received some updates, including the MI8 campaign from Stone Sky. This is the Crew Part 1 campaign. Multiple missions here, 1, 2 to 5, 3, Mission 5, Mission 11, and Mission 13 have received some additional information or rework as needed. Similarly to also the F-18C Raven 1 campaign by Bolted Dragon. I do own this one. I don't own the MI8, so let me know what you think about if you do own the MI8 and that other campaign by Stone Sky. Let me know what you think. It looked like a pretty cool campaign, but I don't own the MI8 at this time, and I know a lot of you are very affectionate about some of the helicopters in this game, so if you have any experience with the MI8 or the some of the new missions available from the campaigns, let me know what you think. Similarly, the Raven 1 campaign, like I said, missions 2, 7, and 12, we've got some adjustments there, including the air-to-air refueling that wasn't being done properly by the wingman, and they've updated some behavior here for the AI Tomcats and Fulcrums. I was going to say, similarly, if you own the Raven 1 campaign, let me know what you think, because it has been very well received. I really enjoy what they've done with this mission set in the campaign, and right now I've only kind of delved in the first 2 or 3, but really enjoying what I've been seeing so far. Alright, lastly, the F5e Aggressors Bfm Campaign by Maple Flag. They've added some random AI and rookie AI versions of the campaign. And the Blue-Nosed Bastards of Bodney, if I can say that right, the Big Show, and Hunters Over the Yalu campaigns by Reflected Simulations. They've updated Flak and AAA in that. So like I said, a fairly small patch there for the changelog. Let's look right now at the A-10C II tank killer, which was released yesterday. I believe, was it yesterday or Wednesday? I've lost track. I think it was, it might have been Wednesday. And oh my, well worth getting, because it is a beautiful aircraft. It handles so nicely, this aircraft. It's very, very easy to fly, in part because it's, you know, it's not a fast jet. And that's not what it was designed to do. It's a medium altitude, low altitude aircraft, and it's designed to loiter in a particular area for a given period and provide troop support. and obviously it's capable of running its own missions and not doing troop support and hitting targets of value, but that's its primary role, and most of you are aware of that. It's built around this fantastic gun, and it does a tremendous amount of damage, and in the hands of a skilled pilot, it's a lethal platform, and it is probably one of the more lethal ground-pounding platforms that the US military owns right now, outside of just sheer devastation from, say, the B-52 bombers, which are just carpet bombing large areas. But if you're looking for precision and skilled target detonation and destruction, it's hard to go past this aircraft and what it's capable of doing. So I wax lyrical here, of course, because most of you know what I'm talking about. What has Eagle Dynamics done with this? Well, as the brief here says, this new A-10C II adds new weapons such as the Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System, or the APKWS. Haven't played with this yet, but we saw some great videos with WAGs about it, and it does look very, very promising. We also have the AGM-65L Laser Maverick and the GBU-54 Laser Guided JDAM, which is also an impressive weapon. A completely remodeled cockpit with options for factory fresh and weathered textures, and we have the Scorpion system used to train the 355th Wing Cadets, and the updated external model now set the bar, according to Eagle Dynamics, for our future releases. And I would agree with that. They've done a really, really nice job. It's exceptional. Now, they've updated the preset key commands for HOTAS. I did notice an issue with the trim. It wasn't working properly, so I had to remap that. But anyway, the HOTAS hardware, they've not redone, but updated to make new users feel more comfortable learning this in-depth system. The fully interactive forward air controller will also help you find and engage enemy targets. Cooperative target engagement has been taken to a new level, which is cool. I haven't tested this out yet. With the improved ability to command ground forces and vast numbers of land, sea, and air units, as well as feature-rich cooperative missions and head-to-head multiplayer, we are proud to say this is the most realistic model ever done for PC simulation, and I think they have done a tremendous job, like I said. And I think the price is right too. If you already own the module, it'll be a mere $10 up until the end of October of this year. So gather your Warthog while you may. Otherwise, it's $80. After October, for pre-existing owners, the upgrade will be $20. Again, not a bad deal, but boy, it's just, there's no reason not to get the $10 version if you already own the module. You'll not be disappointed. So, so as mentioned, there are some new features, including those weapons. We also have this helmet-mounted queuing system, also known as the HMCS. It provides excellent situational awareness and the ability to queue weapons and sensors by looking at the target and setting a designation. Please note this is not the same helmet implementation for the Viper and the Hornet systems. As Wags mentioned the other day, it is actually a far superior system, and I would attest to that based on what we have thus far. And I think this is because of the plethora of weapons that the A-10 is capable of deploying, and again, just what its primary role is, whereas the other aircraft, they're multi-role. The A-10C is capable of multi-role functions, but it's primarily a ground pounder. It's designed to take out tanks, it's designed to take out hard targets, and it will, of course, devastate soft or semi-hardened targets as well. Whereas the other aircraft are air interception roles and, air-to-air primarily. Say, for example, the F-16 was primarily an air-to-air aircraft, but, of course, it's now well known for its multi-role capable functions. Same with the Hornet too. So anyway, I wax on, and it's very, very good news. I think I've really enjoyed it. I can't stress enough how much I've enjoyed just getting back into the cockpit of this A-10C and looking at it with fresh eyes, picking up, as I mentioned before, the really good tutorials by Ralphie Dude and various other people as well. Red Kite being one. Grim Reapers, of course, have thrown out their usual tutorials. All very, very helpful contributors to the community, and it just helps you get to grips with this aircraft, which has pretty layered systems, no kidding. It's pretty in-depth, but fun. All right, lastly, we kind of wrap up here. We've got a couple of other things here. We do have some more information about the supercarrier development progress. So currently they're working on the animation engine capabilities. So this is good news. We have added additional animations to various operations phases on board the supercarrier. A new skeleton that much better matches human anatomy is in progress, so that's exciting. And this will improve the realistic deck crew movement, which I think is really, really cool. I thought they did a pretty decent job before, albeit, the crew aren't truly, mimicking, how would you say, human actions to a greater or lesser degree because of the restrictions that we have, but this sounds really exciting. And they're also working on improving the catapult launch animation for the F-18 Hornet pilot, which I think is very exciting. The hand models have been corrected whilst we continue to develop Nomex flight gloves. So they're going into quite a lot of detail here, which I don't know if that's necessary at all, based on my experience of the game as it stands right now, but I do appreciate the effort here. I think it's really cool. And they're also using highly detailed 3D scanning technology to better model the pilot for point of view experience, and that's really, really interesting. So when complete, the CW27P flight suit and the CSU13P anti-G suit will be available. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that comes to fruition. I think that's a really interesting introduction. It's not a critical one, but I think it does add to the level of immersion that I know a lot of you simmers out there enjoy. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. I think it's kind of exciting, if perhaps not necessarily necessary, but nevertheless cool. All right. Lastly, reflected simulations have been busy. I'm on a closed group with this guy who has sort of kept us up to date with the progress of this new campaign for the FW190A8, the Horrido campaign. It's set in August 44. You arrive in Merville, Cologne to take on leadership of 7 JG-26 flying Focke-Wulf 190A8s. Most of the pilots are just teenagers with only a few flying hours, which of course was very much a realistic component of the air war during this period, as Germany was slowly being overrun. We started running out of personnel, and so you start to get desperate to throw up pilots. Your job is to turn them into an efficient fighting unit over the ever-increasing pressures of the war. Their allies have gained complete air superiority over the continent, and their ground forces are advancing rapidly through France. Experience the thrill of attacking large bomber formations head-on and the terror of taking off amid the bullets of low-flying Mustangs. You can download the campaign by Reflected Simulations now. So get into it while you may. And I think that's, if I remember rightly, one of the reasons that the German pilots scored so many kills or became aces was because of the number of sorties that they flew, and just they were, constantly in action, perhaps much more so than the Allied pilots in terms of getting those kinds of kills, just because the tide of the war had changed. So you had less pilots doing more missions and your ability to clock up kills. But there were some really amazing pilots, some who did make it through to the end of the war, but boy, the price was very high in this war. So kind of a cool period, and I'm sure it'd be an interesting campaign. I would like to give this a little shot, actually, but other aircraft right now are pressing my interests and also my wallet. And of course, we're referring to that A-10C. So you've been looking at some images of the aircraft. Let me know what your thoughts are on it and how you're enjoying it, or if you're considering purchasing it, or whatever else you're working on right now. I think we'll wrap this video up for this week. I just want to say thank you once again for all the likes and subscribes. Remember, it costs you nothing, but it saves me a lot, helps me a lot, and it does a lot for the channel, which, as I always say, is continuing to chug along, and I really appreciate it. Of course, I appreciate all the feedback and the comments. That's what the channel is about, so keep throwing out your comments. Let me know what you're thinking about DCS World. We've got a few months left of the year. We're still waiting for a few new aircraft, I think, or at least some more adjustments yet. I am looking forward to, for example, what is it now? Oh gosh, the the Mosquito, that's the aircraft I'm looking forward to, and they actually found one in New Zealand recently, and there was a pilot who flew one. He's 93 years old, he's still working, living in New Zealand. Really interesting story about him. He flew night missions with the Mosquito, and then he immigrated from Britain to New Zealand after the war. I think he picked up work there for an engineering firm where he's pretty much stayed most of the rest of his career. And he said, I don't have any secrets for you in terms of longevity of life. He said he smoked for 40 years and he drank heavily after the war, unsurprisingly, like a lot of returning vets. But here he is. He said, I'm still working, still with it. And he didn't look 93, I have to say, but sharp as a tack. He still had his wits about him, so good for him. But yeah, in this barn there is some very rare gems, including one of the few remaining Mosquitoes still around, simply because a lot of them are made of wood, and after they were mothballed they just didn't survive storage. The wood tended to get damp in the wrong kind of conditions that you really need to keep them dry. And of course, once they start getting damp, the mold and then the rot starts kicking in, and these aircraft frames fell apart pretty quickly. So that's the reason why there's not a whole lot of Mosquitoes left, unfortunately. So a lot of them ended up being scrapped. So we'll leave it at that. Once more, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave me some comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks everybody. This is Prickly Hedgehog out.